All right, everybody. Ever imagine yourself like knee deep in sugar? And I mean literal tons of it.
Uh-huh, yeah.
We're talking about a career as a wholesale merchant in sugar, chocolate, and sugar confectionery for today's deep dive.
Hmm. Sounds pretty sweet.
It really does. But as we dug into the research, we found out there's way more to this job than just, having a sweet tooth.
Oh, absolutely. It's a global operation.
Right. And the research described these merchants as like investigators of the supply chain.
Hey,
And that little detail that really piqued my curiosity.
makes sense. You can't just walk into a grocery store and expect to find, 1,000 tons of sugar just sitting there.
Yeah, I guess not.
There's a whole chain of events that has to happen before that sugar even exists, let alone ends up on a shelf. And a good wholesale merchant, they need to have a handle on every single step.
So, like, what would be an example of a wholesale merchant having to put on their detective hat?
Well, let's say there are rumors of a drought hitting vanilla farms over in Madagascar, right?
Vanilla farms. Okay.
Yeah, right. A good merchant, they're going to catch wind of that and think, hold on, vanilla prices? They might go haywire.
That makes sense.
So they start digging, making calls, confirming the drought rumors, and then they'll start reaching out to their vanilla suppliers, figure out how much they have in stock, what their production looks like, that kind of thing.
So it's all about connecting those dots, right?
Yeah.
Global events to the stuff we see every day.
Exactly. And once they have that intel, they can advise their buyers.
So, like, who are their buyers? I'm picturing, like, a giant bakery or something.
Yeah, exactly. Think large-scale bakeries, food manufacturers, even supermarkets. They need to know if a key ingredient, like vanilla, is suddenly going to skyrocket in price.
Right. Otherwise, boom, vanilla cupcakes are off the menu.
Or your favorite vanilla latte just doubled in price. It's about managing those ripples in the supply chain.
Wow. Okay. So these wholesale merchants, they really do need to be a few steps ahead of the game.
Always. I mean, let's say a new study comes out, right? And it links dark chocolate to some amazing health benefits.
Okay, love where this is going.
Suddenly, everyone and their dog wants dark chocolate, right?
Correct.
So a good wholesale merchant, they'll
Yeah.
see that coming a mile away. They probably advise their chocolate suppliers to, like, ramp up production, maybe even lock in a good price before the inevitable surge in demand.
That's wild. So they really are trying to predict the future, like the future of sweetness.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's a blend of market analysis, really knowing your stuff when it comes to sugar, chocolate, all of it.
Yeah,
And of course, being able to roll with the punches because the market can change in a heartbeat.
absolutely. So it's not just about having a sweet tooth. It's about having a nose for the business, too.
Exactly. It's about passion, strategy, and a little bit of it, like you said, detective work sprinkled in.
So it sounds like a wholesale merchant needs a pretty diverse skill set to be successful, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's not just about knowing your way around a warehouse full of sugar.
Right.
Communication,
Mhm.
negotiation, those are huge.
Yeah, I bet. Because you're the link between, like, the people who have the sugar and the people who need the sugar.
Exactly. And those needs, they can be really specific. It's not always as simple as, okay, here's a truckload of sugar, enjoy.
Oh, for sure. I imagine there's a good bit of persuasion involved, too. Especially when you're talking about, like, massive quantities and big money.
Oh, yeah. You've got to be a smooth talker, for sure. Being able to paint a picture, show them why this deal makes sense. It's a skill.
So can you give me an example? Like, walk me through a scenario where a wholesale merchant would really need to flex those persuasion muscles.
Okay, so say a big candy company, right? They're about to launch this whole new line of chocolate bars.
Okay, I'm already hungry.
But they're not just any chocolate bars. They want to use a very specific type of cocoa bean, ethically sourced, sustainable, the whole 9 yards.
Right, so it's not just about the taste, it's about the values, too.
Exactly. So the wholesale merchant, they need to find a supplier who can tick all those boxes. They need someone who can meet those ethical standards while also, making sure the price is something the candy company can actually work with.
So it's like a balancing act, finding that sweet spot between values and the bottom line.
You got it. And that's where those negotiation skills come into play. It's about building trust, understanding everyone's priorities, and then hammering out a deal that works for everybody.
That makes a lot of sense. And I know we touched on it earlier, but our research also highlighted how important active listening is in this job.
Oh, it's crucial. You can't just walk in all about the numbers and contracts. You have to listen, truly listen to both sides.
So it's about building those relationships too.
100%. I mean, you might be talking to a sugar supplier whose family has been in the business for, like, generations.
Wow.
They have so much knowledge, so much experience. If you take the time to listen to them, really hear what they have to say, you might discover opportunities you never even considered.
Like a hidden stash of, like, super rare vanilla beans or something?
Maybe. But more importantly, you build that trust, that rapport.
Mm-hmm.
And that can make all the difference when it comes to securing the best possible deal for everyone involved.
So it's a blend of market savvy and, like, good old-fashioned people skills.
Exactly. And of course, being able to handle curveballs.
Oh, right, because it's not all smooth sailing in the world of sugar, is it?
Not always. Remember how we talked about predicting the future of sweetness?
Yeah, like a sixth sense for sugar.
Well, the market can be pretty unpredictable sometimes.
I bet things happen.
Oh, yeah. Like, imagine there's some political unrest in a big sugar-producing country.
Okay. Yeah, I can see how that would be a problem.
Suddenly, those shipments everyone was counting on, they're delayed, prices go up, it's a domino effect.
And everyone's scrambling?
Absolutely. And that's where a good wholesale merchant earns their keep. They need to stay calm, assess the situation, and figure out how to minimize the damage. Maybe they can find a new supplier. Maybe they need to renegotiate some existing contracts. Maybe it's just about being upfront with their buyers about potential delays and price hikes. It's about managing expectations and finding solutions.
So it's like this high-pressure chess game. But instead of pawns and rooks, it's sugar and chocolate.
That's a great way to put it. It's about strategy, adaptability, and a whole lot of hustle. All right, so you're listening to this and you're thinking, okay, sign me up. Where do I apply? What does it actually take to become a wholesale merchant in, all things sweet?
Well, like any good recipe, right? It starts with the right ingredients.
Okay, I like where this is going.
And in this case, the most important ingredient is experience.
So, like, what? Working in a candy store?
Uh-huh. Not quite, though I'm sure that wouldn't hurt. No, I'm talking about real practical experience. Look for internships, maybe with food and beverage importers,
Right.
or even entry-level jobs at some of the big food companies. Anything to get your foot in the door, get a taste of how the industry really works.
Makes sense. Get a feel for the lay of the land.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Because the best way to learn this business is to be in it, to see those supply chains in action.
Absolutely. And I imagine networking, that's got to be huge in this field, right?
Oh, yeah. This industry, it's all about relationships, building trust, making those connections. That's how you hear about the best deals, the inside scoop on market trends, that sort of thing.
So where do these wholesale merchants hang out? Like, are we talking fancy chocolate conferences?
Huh, could be. There are industry events, trade shows, even online forums and groups these days. Tons of opportunities to connect with people, learn from the pros, and just, get your name out there.
Right. Schmooze it up a little bit.
Exactly. Because a lot of times, it's not just what you know, it's who you know.
Hmm.
And speaking of what, we should probably touch on the whole portfolio thing.
Oh, right. The research mentioned that a professional portfolio can be really important for wholesale merchants. But what does that even look like? Like, is it a scrapbook filled with, like, different types of sugar cubes?
Uh-huh. I can just imagine that pitch meeting now. And here's my prize-winning collection of raw cane sugar.
Hand harvested from the foothills of...
Exactly.
Yeah.
But no, in all seriousness, a portfolio for a wholesale merchant, it's less about, showing off your sweet tooth and more about showcasing your business acumen.
So it's about proving you can actually, like, cut deals and make money in this world.
Exactly. Think about highlighting successful deals you've been a part of, right? Maybe you anticipated a big shift in sugar prices, or you managed to negotiate a killer contract for your client. Those are the kind of wins you want to shout from the rooftops.
So basically anything that proves you can handle the pressure and navigate the sugar roller coaster, right?
Exactly. And testimonials, those can be gold. Having happy clients singing your praises, talking about how you understood their needs, how you went above and beyond, that kind of social proof, it goes a long way.
Oh, for sure. But, we can't ignore the elephant in the room, or should I say the algorithm in the spreadsheet.
Right, automation.
Exactly. I mean, our research mentioned how much of the wholesale industry is becoming automated these days. So how does a person, like a real-life human being, compete with that?
It's a valid concern, for sure. But look, technology, it's a tool, right? Like any other tool, it can be used for good or for evil.
Oh, for sugar, I guess.
Exactly. And algorithms, they're great at what they do. They can crunch numbers, analyze data, find patterns that we might miss. They can even play a part in matching buyers and sellers.
Right, like a dating app, but for sugar.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Algorithms, they don't have that human touch.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
They can't build those relationships, read between the lines of a contract, Understand the unspoken needs and concerns of a client who's been in the sugar game for like 50 years.
So it's about finding that balance, right? Like using tech to your advantage, but also playing up those human strengths.
Exactly. Use the online platforms, the industry databases, all of that to gather information, do your research, maybe even identify potential clients or suppliers. But then pick up the phone, have those conversations, build that rapport, seal the deal the old-fashioned way.
I love it. It's like a high-tech, high-touch kind of world.
That's a great way to put it. Because at the end of the day, people, they want to work with people. They
Right.
want to know that there's someone on the other end of that sugar shipment who understands their needs, who they can trust.
Absolutely. This has been a fascinating deep dive, I've got to say. I learned a lot about a career path I honestly didn't know much about before.
It's a sweet gig if you can handle it.
Haha, for sure. Well, on that note, we'll leave our listeners with something to chew on. As more and more people are looking for, ethically sourced, sustainable products, how do you think the role of a wholesale merchant is going to evolve to meet those demands?
It's a great question. One that I think is going to keep these merchants on their toes for years to come.
For sure. It's like that saying, life is like a box of chocolates, you never know what you're going to get. Or in this case, it's more like, the global sugar market is like a box of chocolates, always full of surprises. Thanks for joining us for the deep dive, everyone. Until next time.